All right, hello. Today we're going to be drawing a sunflower inspired by Vincent van Gogh. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, crayons, markers, and if you want to use watercolor, if you have watercolor available, you could also use that. If you don't, you could just use crayons. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the sunflower very up close in this picture. So in your middle of your paper, it can be anywhere from the middle, it could be from like an area near the corner. It doesn't have to be directly in the middle. You're going to draw a circle or an oval. So I'm going to draw my circle. Now I don't want you to trace a circle. I want you to try to just draw it on your own. If you've ever noticed a sunflower, it's not perfectly circle in the middle. Sometimes they're kind of like oblong or an oval. From here, you're going to start making your petals. So your petals are going to be these oval shapes. And I'm just going to start adding them along the way, right next to each other. So as soon as one ends, another one starts. And if you go off the page, I'd rather that you go off the page instead of trying to fit them on the paper. So try to go off the page. So if you go off the page like this, I stopped, I pretend it's going off the page and then coming back. So going off and then coming back. And the reason I like it when we do this, it makes it look like it continues on and it doesn't just stop. So we're going to add another layer of petals between our petals. And these are going to be a little bit skinnier. So I'm making kind of like a frowny face. Again, if it goes off, you just go off and then come back. This one you wouldn't see. This one you would see a little bit. And this one maybe goes off and comes back. Next, we're going to add a stem. So the stem is going to come down. And we're going to add in a leaf. So very similar to the petals, our leaf is going to be in oval shape. And you could even add like a point to it to make it look like a football. He's got a little petal. So there's our drawing of our sunflower. Now we're going to add some detail to our sunflower to give it more texture. Texture is the way something looks like it feels. Now we think of texture like how something looks like if we touch it. So this is a plant. So if I like touch the plant, that's the texture of the plant. Well, in art, we have to do implied texture. Implied texture means that we have to make it look like it would have a texture. So in the middle of a sunflower, that's where all the seeds are. If you've ever had sunflower seeds, that's where they come from. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a shape. So I'm going to do circles, but you could do squares, but try to keep one or the other. You could also just do triangles. So I'm going to do circles, and I'm going to keep them really close to each other. And I actually might start going in and do like a spiral. All right, so I did my circles in the middle for my texture, so to make it look bumpy. I'm also going to add some texture to my petals. So petals are soft. So we're going to add in these kind of soft curves to add texture. I'm going to do that to all of them. And even the ones on the outside. And then on the petals, not the petals, but the leaves, we're going to add like the veins of the leaf. So we're going to draw like a line and then draw like lines coming off of them. And there's our sunflower. All right, so for the next part, I'm going to take a black Sharpie and I'm going to outline everything. I took a larger one only because I want to do bigger lines. If you're using a black Sharpie or a black pencil. God. So for the next part, I'm going to be using a black large Sharpie, but if you don't have one of these, you could use a black marker. If you don't have that, you can use a black crayon or a black color pencil. But I want you to try to create thick lines when you outline. Thick lines. So when I'm outlining, I'm taking my time. I would say if you're using a black Sharpie, maybe put something underneath. This is my workspace, so I'm okay if it gets on the table. But if not, I would definitely just put like another piece of paper underneath it. So I'm going to go in, outline my soft lines. All right, so we have our sunflower. All right, so for the next part, we're going to start with coloring just the center of our sunflower. For the center, I want you to try to choose a neutral color. What is a neutral color? A neutral color is anything like brown, gray, black, and brown. So you could also do white, but for this instance, we're going to take white out of the equation, and you're going to do brown, black, gray, and just those colors. So do you have to use all of them? No. So I'm just going to make my background brown. And you could do this with a marker, or you could do it with color pencils, or you could do it with paint if you have paint available. So when I'm coloring with the crayon, I don't just color over everything. I'm going to color in between my shapes that I created. I want you to try to take your time. There's no rush. I don't need to scribble through. I want to see how you color. All right, so I have that done. Now I'm going to take a black, but you could use any of those neutral colors. So any brown, black, or gray. So for the next part, you're going to choose either warm or cool. You can't have both. So you need to decide, do I want to use warm colors or cool colors? So what are warm colors? Warm colors are red, orange, yellow, anything that has red, orange, and yellow. So you may notice I have a pink here that has red in it. I have like a purpley pink. That's also a warm color. Yeah, so anything warm. Or you can decide to do cool colors. So cool colors are going to be green, blue, and purple. Anything with green, blue, or purple. So light green, light blue, dark blue, light purple, dark purple. Those are all cool colors. So you need to decide warm or cool. Once you decide, you need to put that color set to the side. So I'm going to do warm for this one. So I'm going to take cool and I'm going to set it off to the side. And here are my warm colors. Now these are the only colors I'm going to be able to use on this for the entire flower. Now you may think, well, Miss Velasco, the colors on the sunflower are orange. How can I do them cool colors? For this project, I want you to focus on colors, color theory. So this is warm colors. If you choose cool colors, then you would just do cool colors. So I'm going to go ahead and color this.
When coloring your flower, choose one color from your set of colors to color the flower. I chose red, so I used red and pink. If you want to challenge yourself, add some shading, add some darker colors and some lighter colors to give the flower dimension. When you're coloring the stem and the leaves, remember you are still using your set of colors.
All right, so if you're interested in doing watercolor for this project, I have my colored version over here. You only have to do one. You could use watercolor, or I'm going to show you how to create a watercolor look using markers. So on this other one, I'm going to be using cool colors, which I've set over here. I have a brush. It has a pretty good size tip to it, so it has enough bristles on it. You want something a little bit bigger because you want to be able to spread the water so you create the color. And I have a little bit of water here. Just as a reminder, you only have to do one flower, only one. If you want to do a crayon version or colored pencil or marker, and that's what you have available, just one. So I did this one in warm, and now I'm going to show you cool colors in using markers and water. Now, if you want to use watercolor, that's completely optional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the color I'm going to use for the petals. So I think I'm going to use this teal on the big petals. So I'm still want to do this black, brown, or gray as the neutrals, but I'm going to come back to it. So what I'm going to do is take the edge of my marker and I'm going to flatten it, and I'm basically going to re-outline near my outline. So I'm not coloring it in. I'm just going next to my outline. And when I do this, it does take a little bit more time, and the fact that I have to kind of slow down outlining. But I'm going to take my brush, dip it in my water. Don't need any paint for this. If you don't. And then you're going to bring it down And you're going to kind of put it where your color is, and if you can see it, the color bleeds. And I'm just going to keep dipping my brush and pushing it outwards. It's like magic. All right, so what you want to make sure you do is you only do the space that you outlined at a time. So now I'm done. I put my brush back and do my next one. You want to make sure you have a thick line, so I didn't really do it very well on that side. And you're not really coloring it all in, because the water will help you do that. So if you have markers and you have a brush, you can still do watercolor, but with markers. So I'm going to keep doing this all the way around, and I'm going to finish the whole thing.
Similar to the first drawing, I'm just choosing one color to color the flower. In this case, I chose blue, and I'm going to be using different blues for the flower. When you're using this technique, try not to put marker on top of wet paper, for the marker won't show up. If you don't like the result of the water in the marker the first try, you can wait till it dries and go over it again with the marker in the water for a brighter color. When adding the neutral colors such as black, brown, gray to the middle of the flower, I am just coloring with the marker instead of using the watercolor technique.